Biggest news stories of the day is Ethereum versus Solana. As everybody knows, Ethereum wasn't doing very well. It had a very lackluster performance the first 5 months of the year, but then it really picked up in May, then in July, then in August with the passing of the Genius Bill rather. But something that a lot of people don't really understand is that Solana is basically Ethereum 2.0 or 3.0. You could say in many ways Cardano is Ethereum 2.0, and then Solana is 3.0. This is because Solana not only has it's a lot cheaper to build on. I've built projects on it. A lot of people build projects on it. It's also faster and cheaper. For example, if I'm going to pay somebody, all the cryptocurrencies that I have, this is something that I do, and I'm not the only one. This is just pure fact. It's the fastest and most inexpensive way to send any amount of value on the internet. It happens literally in seconds, and it costs super inexpensive. I think I've said it before that I had an intern in Japan and he needed money. Well, yeah, he needed Solana specifically. I was in New York City at the time. I sent him 100 Solana. He got it like in 3 seconds. It was crazy. And then it was like 0.0002 cents, and no matter what amount. The problem with Ethereum is that when it can get congested, this is why you see a lot of layer 2s on it. So when it gets congested, the prices go up, and obviously the time it takes longer than usual, which still takes a good amount of time compared to Solana. So if both are congested, Solana beats out. The one main thing that Solana supposedly had that was like better than Ethereum is that Ethereum had more uptime. But you have to understand that Ethereum was also forked. So this is a new version of Ethereum, not the original Ethereum. The original Ethereum is Ethereum Classic. So if you're going to compare the new Ethereum to Solana after the upgrade, right? Because you had Solana before the upgrades and Solana after its last upgrade. It actually hasn't had downtime in 2 years. So Tom Lee's biggest thing for people or companies, banks using Ethereum over Solana is that it's had more uptime since inception, which is a little bit misleading. And again, if you're talking about safety, just on blockchain, Solana is actually quantum persistent, whatever that means, right? But Ethereum technically isn't. It has a Petra upgrade. But if you're going to compare both, this is the thing. As an investment, forget about the safety, because now I've just already proven basically that Solana is as safe to build on than Ethereum. And it's actually cheaper and faster. But as an investment, Ethereum is 5 times larger in total market cap than Solana. So if you're looking at an investment that'll give you more return in the future based on the current market cap, which I still think is going to grow, Solana is the better choice, especially because the meme coin mania cycle is still in play. The casino is on a break, but let's be real. When retail comes in, they're going to be in the casino. When you have that mixed up with the fact that Ethereum has had a spot ETF for the past over a year and 2 months now, I believe, active. In May 2024, they approved it. I think it was active on July, which is a horrible time to, in my opinion, to put an ETF. But as soon as you get Solana ETFs and professional investors start to see this, it's going to boom. And the reason why I think Solana is going to be the next in line is because XRP had the issues, and the only 2 cryptocurrencies that have futures contracts, which is a prerequisite before having a spot ETF on the stock market. Well, there's 4 of them. There's Bitcoin, Ethereum, which already have spot ETFs on the market, stock market. But you also have to see that Solana and XRP are the logical 2 next, because they both have futures contracts on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I think Solana preceded XRP, although XRP is doing amazingly well. But the point is, comparison to Ethereum and Solana, as soon as Solana launches the spot ETFs, which I think are going to be launched before the XRP ETFs, that's going to take a lot of market share away from Ethereum, especially when people start to realize, listen, Ethereum is slow, sluggish. You can't compare the two. Solana is just a better project. It's better technology-wise. It has better upgrades. It's faster, more inexpensive to use. Retail can use it just as, like regular, the same ease that banks can use it for stablecoin legislation. Oh, and another thing, once we have the CFTC and the SEC, the Clarity Act gets passed, we have the split between the CFTC and the SEC. I believe that both Ethereum and Solana are not going to be, in my opinion, the actual blockchains themselves, the cryptocurrency itself, are just for gas fees. Those are going to be commodities. And governed by the CFTC, which will give them a lot better terms for people to invest in. You're going to be better exchanges. It's going to establish a lot more trust with basically already established entities. Because right now, a lot of cryptocurrencies are sitting in limbo. I think the only one that's actually technical, 2 that are considered commodities, in my opinion, are actually Bitcoin and Litecoin, because Litecoin is just a fork of Bitcoin. It's basically the same thing, but just cheaper and faster. That's neither here or there. Although Litecoin actually has more active daily users every day because it's cheaper to use, so people actually use it for payments versus Bitcoin. But again, Ethereum, Solana. Solana is better for payments. It's better speed, processing times, easier for retail to use. You can learn how to use it in a few minutes. Ethereum's a little clunkier. It's harder. Takes longer to process. For the fees are more expensive. They can get super expensive when there's a lot of congestion. Again, a lot of uses on the blockchain. And also, when you're talking about specifically, what do you call it? Solana, like Solana and Ethereum, actual, what do you call it? For you, almost forgot. Staking rewards. Staking rewards for Solana, generally speaking, are high because there's more activity on the chain. Sure, you have a few banks that are at Ethereum, and you also have more layer 2. It's more layer 2s that are being used on Ethereum, not in itself. And when you use a layer 2, you're not really adding activity to the blockchain itself. You're only using it as a liquidity layer. Hopefully I'm not talking over anybody's head. But just when you have hundreds of millions of people using Solana every day to create meme coin projects, again, I'm not saying it's ethical, but activity is activity, you're going to have higher staking rewards. So it's just a better overall project when we're talking about both retail investors, right? Retail investors and sophisticated investors. And with that being said, wanted to just talk to you guys about the comparison. In my opinion, Solana is a better project. Both projects are great. And at the end of the day, it's not a zero-sum game. We can all grow together. Although I think Solana will do better. That's neither here nor there. But just wanted to say that that's basically a topic of the day, because we're getting spot ETFs pretty soon for Solana, probably at the end of this month, and if not, at the end of this month, middle of next month. And I want people that listen to my videos to understand the better project to invest in. I don't want people to, your Ethereum's going to go up, Cardano's going to go up, Solana's going to go up. I don't want people to look at like the projects and be like, oh, I invested $1,000 in Cardano and it only went to, like, just for example, it only went from 82 cents to $3 versus Solana. You could have invested $1,000 into it. Then it goes from like $205 where it is now to like, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And listen, it could happen. We're in uncharted territory. A lot of the projections that were given last year for $1,000 Solana, $2,000 Solana, those were based on the fact, those were before we knew. This is before we knew that the Genius Act and the Market Clarity Act were going to be passed and signed by President Trump, and that the SEC and the CFTC were going to work so diligently the next few months to make sure that everybody has access to the crypto markets, and also that banks, as of next year, people are going to be able to, people that don't want to create banking apps, they're going to be using their own app. They're going to be able to log onto their app, like for example, JP Morgan Chase Bank, and they're going to be able to buy cryptocurrency with a click of the button. Listen, if you guys don't understand this, you guys and gals don't understand what's about to happen, I don't know what to tell you. I keep telling people to please just put some money into cryptocurrency, because I know that once you put $5 or $10 of your own money, not somebody gifted you cryptocurrency, you're more likely to care. Every study has shown this, even outside of this way. You're more likely to care about cryptocurrency and look at the graphs. And when you hear it in the news, oh, it's pumping, right? You have $10 of Bitcoin, not a lot of money, but okay, it's pumping. And now you're like, okay, now if I can make, Bitcoin can double because I went from $30,000 to $60,000, for example. It's way higher now. Then what else can I do? And you start looking into other projects. You start to understand the differences between market cap and unit bias, right? Even with regards to unit bias, right? We talked about market cap. Solana has a lower market cap. Unit bias. Solana, investors are going to see that Solana's only worth, only in comparison, $205, right? Compared to Ethereum's $4,200 to $4,200 to $4,300 price. So that's something called unit bias. That's where people look at the price of a token and they assume that the lower price point means that they can go higher. That's not always true, because obviously XRP has a higher market cap than Solana and has a way lower price per unit. But again, with regards to Ethereum, Solana, even in the category of price, you just unit bias in general, it wins against Ethereum. And with that being said, I'm just out here, just wanted to make this quick video, not that quick, 10 minutes or so. and make sure that everybody understands that when you're talking about Ethereum, Solana, both projects are great investments. I wouldn't tell you what to do with your money, but at the end of the day, you're gonna make more money in the medium and long term. I'm not saying the short term. Ethereum could still pump the next few weeks, but in the medium to long term, you're gonna make a lot more money, probably, in my opinion, with Solana. With that being said, upwards and onwards.